Hello and welcome to the Aten Inquisition, where we spend a little bit of time getting to know the populace of Atenveldt. We're your hosts, Morgan and Elizabeth, current king and queen during these times of plague. Today we're talking with Rabbit. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So my full name is Richard Attakirk the Rabbit. I guess I could throw Lordship in there now. So I am, I've been in Atenveldt my entire time with the SCA. I am currently squire to Duke Craven, and I am student minion provost, whatever the current term is for the mod students to Her Grace Elzbieta.
Nice. Right. So how did you find the SCA?
So I actually found the SCA via another group. I had played with a group called the ECS, the Empire Chivalry and Steel, which is a live steel group versus we play with Rattan. I had played with them since I was about 16. I found them by just at an event in the park, I think, and they were doing some boffer fighting and found them. Later through that group, as I got into it, they told me about this little event that they go to called Estrella. So went as 16-year-old kid, not knowing anything about it, fully admit, snuck onto the field wearing armor, never got the cards, never got inspected, and was hooked. So every year, it was make the drive. I was living in Vegas at the time. Make the drive out to Arizona, go to Estrella every year, and it's been my favorite event ever since. So when I moved to Arizona and the ECS present was less prevalent, the Triskathir practice was literally right around the corner. So went there, got real into it, both sides of the field, a little bit more on the rapier side than heavy, but played both sides for a good while. And it's kind of, that's the story.
So what's your favorite memory from when you first started playing here?
When I first started playing, favorite memory, the most fun event that when I first started playing was Nightlight in Triskathir. And I remember it because at the time, Karis, his lordship Karis, I forget his full name, he was a big piece of getting me excited about playing in Triskathir. And he totally talked up this whole thing and was telling me about Nightlight, and everybody gets, auctioned off and all these things. And I ended up doing pretty well in the tournament, if I remember correctly. And it was just completely filled the Stardust meter, to the top. So when I started playing in Atenveldt, just the small night and weekend events in Triskathir were awesome.
So I can see it in the background, but tell us a little bit about your heraldry and how you came about it.
So heraldry is actually pretty simple. This is an old one that actually is from the ECS. I can't really see it, but there's a rabbit in there on the top. But it's pretty simple. Red and blue, my favorite colors, always has been. And at the time in the ECS, I was fighting with Sword and Madu. That's since been changed to 2 swords. So it's rather simple, kind of like how I've always seen myself. I don't, there's no crazy dags, no crazy ermines or anything like that. Just a simple thing of rabbit, which is, kind of become my deal. There's a story there. I did get the name for a reason, by the way. And sword and just cross swords. It's what I did. So kind of simple and easy.
So I'm going to need that story now.
So when I first started playing, again, this is the ECS. The form of fighting that everybody did there was Shinai. So if you know what Shinais are, they're like the training swords. And I was 16 at my very first event, big event, which was the Vegas Renaissance Fair. And they have, so super small field, right? So we would have melees that were maybe 10 on a side. And they have hay bales set up on the field as obstacles, whatever. And during one of the fights, I was jumping back and forth over the top of one of the hay bales, doing well, killing people. And the queen at the time yelled, "Kill the rabbit." And everybody started calling me it, and but the way I fight is generally pretty fast, and it just kind of stuck, and I've enjoyed having that for a long time and just incorporated it.
Yeah, it's funny how nicknames come about. Yours might be a little more flattering than mine.
Oh, everybody likes the friendly troll.
So what are your goals?
Goal. I mean, the obvious answer to that is mod right now. But beyond that is just to continue having fun with it. Before the world caught on fire, I had really renewed my my interest and desire to play, and started to get really back into it. Had, I was going places, doing things, meeting new people, making new friends, and just really enjoying it again. Back to, yeah, I know, right? But the immediate goal is, yeah, obviously I would love to pursue the peerage and become a mod under Elzbieta. Beyond that, really just keeping enjoying having a good time. You want to say hi? This is Asher, by the way.
Hi, Asher. He's like, nah, no.
I don't know you. Why is the TV talking to me?
So yeah.
Are there any arts or service that you've done that you're especially proud of?
Yeah. So I've actually picked. You saying hi? Yeah, there they are. So during the whole pandemic and world being caught on fire, I actually picked up an art that I taught myself years and years and years ago, and that was doing chainmail. So I have made and sold and gifted a number of chains to people. I've got I've made some of the most fun ones. Hey, most fun ones that I've done have been dice bags I enjoy making out of chain and stuff like that. And it's really neat. I've got one that I look forward to gifting to a forever, what's the word for him? Somebody who's been offered but hasn't been
Vigilant.
There you go. Thank you. So I look forward to gifting one of the most complicated ones that I've done to my Squire brother, who I probably just ruined that surprise, but
Well, I mean, that's if he's actually watching any of these. I mean, he
yeah,
might.
there you go.
This isn't going live right now, so
Yeah, I understand. But no, I've made some fun ones, and it's been cool because I've been able to personalize them and find new patterns and add colors within the gold and such like that. So I surprised Sir Walrick with one that I made for him because he was a big part of my path in the SCA, and I sent him one that combined the Atenveldt and Outlands colors, so kind of where he was and where he has been, and he seemed to be pretty happy with it. And I've also done a couple others that just are fun, and I've actually been able to sell a handful of them too, which has been kind of nice always, right? So
well, yeah, I mean, if you can replace your materials so you can keep going without being out of pocket, that's awesome.
Exactly. As far as other arts, some people know, some people don't. I sing. I sang for oh my gosh, I'm spacing on his name. Malice, for Malice's elevation to mod. I sang in his processional. Also random other stuff around the fire. I know a handful of things. Oh, don't do that.
So is there something that falls under the SCA that you haven't done yet, but you'd like to try?
Haven't done yet, but I'd like to try. It's an interesting question because generally, if I see something and want to do it, I'll try it. And that includes, I mean, I've thrown my hat into archery, I've thrown my hat into heralding, I've thrown my hat into, doing the court stuff. Gosh, something I'd like to try. That's a great question. I don't really have an answer for that, just because if something tickles my fancy, I go for it, I at least give it a shot. Um, the only thing that's really coming to mind would be blacksmithing. I'd love to try actually, metalworking. That would be fun to do and see if it felt good.
So if I were to ask somebody who, if I have a newcomer with me and I wanted to introduce you, what would I tell that newcomer that you're known for?
The easy answer is probably rapier. Yeah, I mean that's the prevailing thing that I do now. Yeah, and I've really enjoyed teaching with rapier lately. Getting Now that kind of we're doing some private practices around around the valley and whatnot, I've kind of gotten the teaching bug back, working with a couple people, and that's been fun. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow getting back out there and doing it again. So
Nice.
So what advice would you give a new member that just found the SCA?
try everything. Absolutely try everything, because you never know what you're gonna like or not like. All right, sir, you're getting Ashley. Try everything, and the reason being is you never know what's gonna tickle your fancy, right? So with me, I'm super happy that I took the one term to be herald for Zippy and Alade when they were Baron, Baroness, and Triscathir. Super happy that I got the chance to do the herald thing. Enjoyed it. Maybe or may not something I do in the future, but I know that experience and I know what I can look for. Archery, tried that out. A lot of fun. I'm not great at it, but it was still fun, and I had that experience. So as far as telling people what to do, always just try something so that you can widen your experience within the group. And if somebody asks you, you can say, hey, yeah, I did that for 5 minutes. Here's what I think of it.
Right. Yep. Sometimes you can find your passion that you didn't know you had.
Absolutely.
So who inspires you?
Who inspires me? Well, that's kind of a complicated answer, because I think you can be inspired in multiple different areas, right? So again, going back to the easy off the top of the head answer for me, is going to be both Craven and Elzbieta. I would lean more towards, if I had to rank them, which I'm sure they'll be really happy to hear that.
I'm actually so happy you're doing this. I can't wait for the next penance court. I'm gonna go.
Oh yeah, it'll be wonderful. But Elzbieta Elzbieta has all of the missing pieces of a peer that I don't have yet. So that's where I get inspired to know, okay, that's when you're looking at someone and okay, I think I'm decent at the actual fighting bit, but the pieces that I'm missing are the grace, the poise, the look even, right? And that's a piece that I've been working on, is just fixing up my kit to look better, right? Because she's always looked great and everybody goes to her, and being that guy, the one that everybody wants, not that guy, kind of thing. And with Craven, he's just inspiring for how well he does so many things and how many balls he can juggle, right? Being the seneschal while still running our household, while still being crown or being this and that. And it always is mind-boggling to me at Estrella how many people come to him for questions and answers, and he's not even in that spot, but hey, here, yeah, let's go over here and do this. That's, to be that kind of guy is definitely something that's inspiring and to look up to.
So you've had almost a whole year of downtime. So what have you been doing to stay busy during the plague?
What have I been doing? So picking up the chain, I would say, would be something that kept me in the mindset of the SCA. So I wanted to get involved and get back into having at least some connection to the group. Beyond that, we've got the little one that's keeping us busy around here. That's for sure. We also have a 4-year-old daughter that's keeping us busy and learning those ropes. just recently, as when started to get back out to practices, I've been lucky enough to get the vaccine, so I'm starting to feel a little more comfortable getting out and doing things again, which is nice. But yeah, just staying busy in the personal life, and then picking up the chain projects has been nice to keep me kind of connected to the SCA.
So in terms of traditions,
I'm sorry.
in terms of traditions,
Okay.
what is one thing that you think we've lost that you'd like to see come back?
Traditions that we've lost. Traditions that we've lost.
Kind of a hard one, actually.
That is a hard one. Especially having not done anything for a year, right? Not
All
done
of
yeah, we've lost all of them. That's the answer right there. Traditions that we've lost. Wow, that's a tough one. I might have to circle back on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I'll give you what might be an easier one. What tradition, and this could be household, it could be kingdom, or it could be baronial, or it could even have been in the other group from ECS. What's your favorite tradition that you've seen?
Something that happened in the ECS that's never been a thing with Atenveldt, and I hesitate to even want it to be Atenveldt just because it's court related, and nobody likes hour-long courts, right? But is in the ECS, it was expected that when people joined new households, it was done in court. And it was kind of a thing where everybody then knows who they're associated with, and so on and so forth. That's something that's just always been a difference, right? Yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Interesting.
Yeah. But as we mentioned, with it doesn't really practically, and it probably doesn't work with Atenveldt and just the SE in general being so large, versus the smaller group that the ECS was. But just kind of a personal touch that it was.
No, I think it's kind of nice because it kind of affirms that person.
Might work on the baronial level.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's a great point. Yeah, it could work on that level. So.
Because that's more like a family group anyway, right?
Right. So then someday when you have your own household, you can start the tradition.
I like it.
Any traditions you would like to see go away?
Go away. Traditions go away.
Anything get under your skin?
Hurry up and wait at Estrella.
I got to tell you, that's all of it.
Gosh, something go away. Yeah, again, it's hard just having not been around any of it for a while, right?
Yeah.
It really, things that everybody I think would like to see go away are these controversies that come up that probably legitimately come from an innocent space. The first thing that comes to mind is it's not necessarily an Atenveldt thing, but was the whole controversy around, I think it was in Kaid, when the crowns wore a garment that had some historically significant problems, right?
Yeah.
And it just seemed like something like that where, wow, it's okay, you can appreciate, modern day, no, it doesn't work, but hey, look at that art, look at the historical issues with that, and they ended up having to step down, and obviously I don't know the whole story, but something like that, I would love to see just those controversies not happen, and people kind of use a little bit of critical thinking and not do the knee-jerk reaction of, oh my god, look at that, why is this a thing, cancel them.
Well, yeah, and maybe not just assume the worst.
Exactly.
Don't start with the worst, wait till they prove that they're the worst.
Yeah.
Or find out that they're not.
If you're upset with a decision, speak with them rather than keyboard warrior vigilante nonsense.
Yeah, and that's I think that's just unfortunate, especially with someone who's, like yourself, worked hard to be in that position. I'm sure, I don't know if it was their first time sitting or not, but
Mhm.
to have that be, effectively torn away from them, that over a piece of art that you are being closed, it's just it's kind of mind-boggling to me. But
And I felt really bad for him because we're actually, I know him. He's a friend of
okay,
mine. He's a friend of mine. And, he'll admit in retrospect, it's probably a terrible idea, but there was another crown that wore that exact same trim, like
mhm,
6 months prior during their reign. Not the same coat, but the same trim on the same,
yeah,
because it's a
and
historic piece of garb that they were both copying from a living history group.
yeah,
And so, so he probably never even had that moment to think about this is a terrible idea because somebody
yeah,
else had already done it, and that's what made him see that trim and go, that is amazing.
yeah, it's just so unfortunate because you can guarantee that who who in their right mind being in that position would do something so egregious and, you know intentionally.
Yeah.
No, and as you mentioned, it was worn previously. Nobody just looked close enough, I guess. So it's like, why would you even think it would be a problem in that, case? So, yeah, I think getting away with some of the mob mentality and knee jerk reactions, and maybe do a little bit more critical thinking on every level of the group, from the bod down to the newest member of the populace.
Mhm.
Yeah, and unfortunately, social media, while it has a lot of pluses, it helps cause those
Fuel that.
negatives as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. And again, I don't know that I don't want to have somebody come after me for saying stuff like this, right? But
Right.
and I don't know the whole story of what happened, everything like that. I just know the basics. So it's it just seems it's sad that something like that could get to that level when there is historical significance, but then how do you weigh that versus,
Yeah.
modern day
Modern
culture?
context. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're in a day and age where you pretty much always have to lean towards the softer side. Like,
Yep.
yeah, it's a bad idea. I shouldn't do it.
Yep. Dogs back off.
Right.
Learned.
Lessons learned. So,
Yep.
what's your favorite event?
Estrella, hands down, no problem. um this past Estrella before the world caught on fire was amazing. One of the best ones I ever had. Just the fighting was excellent. I have a hard, not a hard time, but like getting close with people has always been a little bit more challenging for me. And I got closer with some new people that I'd already known, but just kind of made new friends and new acquaintances, and had just amazing time. We had I was on a watch shift with Lordship Ryan and Eric out of our household, and we got it must have been the most entertaining watch shift ever. We got picked up by Sam, had a golf cart. I'm spacing on her game name right now.
Sacred Sam
No,
or
uh
Ariana?
Mariana, thank you. She had a golf cart. We would just go around, go to the battlefields. We ended up singing and dancing on tables, and just it was just stupid fun. Just it was the entire event was great. So yeah, it's Estrella always fills the Stardust for me. Always. It's just an amazing time.
So what would make a perfect event for you?
And Estrella that's not overly cold or overly hot, and no rain.
We're trying.
I know. Just what makes a perfect event for me is just the perfect balance of fighting and not having felt like wasted time doing anything, just being able to be with the people you want to be with, and having that great extended weekend, right? That's it's hard to beat that. Just hard to beat it.
So shy of weather, because obviously none of us have any control over that. Is there any like ideas that you've ever had just sitting around pondering that you think would make events better?
Something that would make events better. Hmm. again, I go back to, and it's hard to manage just because of the scale of thing, but it sometimes on the battlefield with melees, it sure does feel like you're standing around a long time. But again, that's hard to manage with the amount of people, and there's always things outside of your control that you can't do. That's the first thing that comes to mind as far as improving just the fighting aspect. Improving as far as improving events, I'm looking forward to Estrella being at the new site for a reason. I like the idea of having the battlefield be in the center of everything. To me, when we were there previously, it felt much more like a community of everyone gathering in that central location, right? And just it being centered around that one spot. I really liked that idea versus everyone having to take the mile trek to the battlefield and having such a wide, ranging site. Whereas the Canyon Moon Ranch, that's the name of it, right? All of the yeah, where that is, but all the event stuff are in that, generally the one area. There's the pavilion and everything like that. Whereas at Schnepp's Farms, it's all different spots for different things. So
But it's really funny, you were talking about the timing thing on the battlefield, and I went to an event in the West Kingdom, like way in the beginning, like when I was I think I was within the first 2 years of being in the SCA, because I had a lot of friends out there, and the guy that was running the event, Duke Alden, he's notorious for fighting like war events, and so there's never more than 3 minutes between a battle.
Oh, that would be
and never more than 5 minutes between a scenario change. Like, and the whole thought process, and we fought. I think we went through like 40 battles, because the whole thought process was like, look, if you need to take a break, that's fine.
Take a break,
Those of us are going to keep fighting. Those of us that aren't tired are going to keep fighting, and so you can get as much fighting as you want.
Yeah.
And the best part is that he didn't have a stopwatch. So it was when he felt that it had been 3 minutes, or when he felt like it had been 5, and his clock runs fast. Like you had enough time to take your helmet off, grab a drink of water, and put your helmet right back on. And
I love it. I love it because it feels like a lot of times, especially during the hotter days, you lose people to attrition. If they're just standing around not doing anything, they're gonna say, "Oh, am I done? Nope, maybe I'm not done. Oh, am I done?" But if, hey, fight's starting right now, get your shit. Okay, let's go.
That's why, like, pretty much anytime we've been crowned at Estrella, like, there's no battle courts. There's no court happens during the fighting window.
Oh yeah, it's either before or after, not during. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
And the other thing too is there's a difference between being sweaty just standing in the sun and being sweaty because you're fighting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So what is your favorite out of kingdom event?
The only, I don't think I've ever, I kind of anticipated this question coming, and unfortunately I haven't been to one.
Oh, we have to fix that.
And the thing too is, with me, before the world was all caught on fire, I was totally planning, especially being champion for Mineko, and I know she travels quite a bit. I had planned on accompanying her to at least a couple, going to Great Western and going to oh gosh, I'm spacing on the new Outlands War. Battlemore, thank you. Penzik obviously is super high on my list, so that's a little bit more challenging. But I would absolutely love to check out and go to an Out of Kingdom event. So that is on my list to do.
Well, the good news is that rain is on hold right now, so you haven't missed anything yet.
That's right. Yeah, no, that was part of a big part of what made Las Estrellas so much fun for me, was being Mineko's champion and fighting with her on the heavy field. So it's interesting. I'm right-handed in every single thing I do, other than one thing. I fight spear left-handed. I cannot fight with a spear right-handed. It just doesn't work in my brain. So Mineko is also left-handed.
Yes.
And we paired up on the field for I think a full day, either all day Saturday or Friday, and we were just wrecking people, able to feed off of each other. And she was doing the mama bird thing with the shield over top, while I was able to shoot underneath, and just playing with her and His Highness was epic. It was so much fun. Made me just so much look forward to the rain and continuing to be able to do those things. That was a huge part of what made Australia so much fun, was the heavy fighting this time.
Yeah, well,
That's cool.
and that's the fun part about traveling out of kingdom events is you get closer with the people from your kingdom, because like maybe people you wouldn't have normally fought with because you would fight with your household, but when you're traveling, it's all of Atenveldt together, so it's a smaller unit, and you just end up having these really stronger bonds that you get to build
Yeah.
with other people you might not have known.
Can you say hi to the king and queen? Say hi. Oh, okay. That's Caitlin.
Gotcha. So now the heavy question:
Okay.
what does being a peer mean to you?
Being a peer to me is somebody that you can look up to, somebody that you can look to as an example. Again, falling back on my examples of Craven and Elzbieta, there's not much when you look at them that you don't aspire to, right? You know, the positions that they've held, the poise that they deal with situations, you know, even hard situations. It's being an example like that is, I think, what makes a peer excellent, right? It makes it all that much harder when you have good examples like that, when you see something unfortunate happen with another person who happens to be a peer, and just makes you go, why'd you do that? You know, for whatever is going on. But the biggest thing is really just being that example. And that's something that I strive to do and have been trying to emulate, you know, with Will and Ray's example.
Is there anything that you'd like to see the peers do that you think could make them better?
Yes, and I'm trying to figure out how to word it. I think it would be beneficial for non-peers to have a better idea, maybe more transparency around, okay, what are you looking for in somebody to elevate them? What are you talking to in your circles? What points are brought up? What do I need to work on, right? Now, obviously that question can be answered through a student teacher relationship, you know, squires and proteges and all that, right? But it being maybe more common knowledge, I think, would help a lot of people on their path to what, you know, they have a kind of a more laid out path in front of them, but also know, okay, these are the standards that this group is setting, right? And if somebody's not there, you know, not a peer yet, and somebody asks, well, why aren't they a peer? Well, here's why, 1, 2, 3, kind of thing. I think a little bit more transparency in what the peers are looking for people to join them would be helpful. And there's a couple avenues to get there, but maybe I'm not sure how exactly that would work, but yeah.
I mean,
It's not unreasonable.
no, not at all. And sadly, like I'd love to be able to tell you the easier answer is,
Oh, and I know there's not one.
you just ask a peer. It doesn't matter if they're your peer. Ask them what you need to work on, and they should tell you.
Absolutely, and I agree with that.
Unfortunately, I think if you ask 10 peers, you'd get 10 different answers. So,
and I think that's what the problem is. Not really a problem, but even if it were just in generalities, right? You know, if like one of the things that maybe it would if a member of the populace or somebody could even like request a meeting with the peerage at an event, like if circles are being held, right, make it known, you know, somebody can request an audience with the peerage, you know, and ask them straightforward, you know, what do you guys think of me? That would be something I would love to take advantage of if that were a thing.
Oh, that could be dangerous.
No, I know, and it is kind of funny. It definitely could, you know, go either way, right? But I think the people that, you know, legitimately out of a sense of wanting to progress, I think they would be great conversations probably. Obviously, you're going to get the trolls sometimes who just want to go in to bitch about things, but that can be shut down, I would assume.
Yeah. Yeah. Sadly, not everybody is perfect.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Weird.
So now, we'll get off of the heavy one where you might say something that'll get you in trouble with your penance court. Yeah, tell us one of your favorite stories to tell around the fire. Like of a moment of your SCA, that you love to tell the story of.
So that's a funny one. So this goes back to my days when I was in the ECS and attending Estrella as a nobody, right? I was squired in the ECS to a night, and we came out and played. And I don't even remember why it happened or whatnot, but somehow during a battle we got put on opposite sides, so we were fighting against each other. And I had at that point almost always fought in melees with a glaive, with a 6-foot glaive. My knight had somehow made it through the line and was legged within our line, but he was fighting sword and board, and he was turtled up but getting wax on people, right? I remember somebody yelled, "Kill this guy!" And I remember like just the sea parting, and there he was, and I had my glaive and just kind of stepped in and just went wham right in his face. And he just like, oh, that was awesome. Just and we always tell that story now. So yeah, that's a good one that I always like to tell.
Are you still in touch with him?
Yes, actually. Recently, well, I guess it was probably 2 years ago now, but I traveled up. He lives in Reno now, and went up there and traveled and surprised him for his 50th. Went and did a whole bunch of fun stuff. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Is he still in the ECS, or does he do?
He is. Yeah, he rarely does SCA. He's very invested in the ECS. And so he does that primarily, but yeah, we're all still great friends. I owe my love for the group to him. His name's Stacy. And he got me interested in researching history and researching Knights Templar and learning about the Crusades. Crusades is one of the biggest things that I enjoyed doing when I first played. But yeah, he's a big part of my love for the group.
So you are one of the rare characters that jumps back and forth between hard suit and rapier. How do you balance that?
I wish it were easier to do. I wish that things weren't run concurrently as much as they are. Best example, again, going back to Estrella, is everything's run at the same time. If everything were run at the same time, I would do heavy for the first half of the day and do rapier the second half and be able to completely participate in both. Generally, what I do now is I do 1 day heavy and 1 day rapier. But balancing it used to be easier. It's harder now. I've started to focus more on the rapier side for a couple of reasons. I had an accident a while ago where I was hurt pretty good, and my right arm has basically made out of metal, been reconstructed twice, and my neck is fused, so I broke my neck and stuff like that. Oh, apparently you didn't know this.
No, was it a car accident or?
I hit an elk on my motorcycle.
Oh.
This was May 27th, 2007. I was on my way to an ECS event in Flagstaff.
Wow.
And it was about 9 o'clock at night. And I remember seeing the elk on the left side of the road, and I remember seeing him jump in front of me.
Oh my goodness.
So, but anyway, point being, with my arm as damaged as it was and being re-put back together, I have issues with impact on it. So obviously it getting directly hit is bad and not good. But even just use of, I have even challenges sometimes with rapier now. It fatigues really easily. So I kind of made the active decision, and I even talked at length about it with Craven. Basically getting the okay that, yeah, I don't see that knighthood is in my path anymore due to these issues. However, I want to, I still do, and I maintain that I do. I wanted to maintain my squire relationship with him because of the things we previously talked about, because he's such a, an example for me. And at that time was when I approached Elzbieta and asked to become her student. She was a white scarf at the time. Mod wasn't a thing yet. So it was kind of an easy answer, right? To keep it in the family, as it were. And I've greatly enjoyed having both of those relationships, and having the one peer be very clearly on the heavy side and one peer very clearly on the rapier side. It's made any questions I have going either way easier, and so I can balance that pretty well. But yeah, I would love it if things weren't always run at the same time. That would make it easier to do. Other than that, I just have to choose which one I'm doing.
Yeah, and it's a tough one. Like we've spent some time looking at the scheduling and stuff, and it's
hard.
Oh yeah, I bet. And you're only given so much time, right? And
right.
However much, something that I think would be helpful, again, going back to Estrella, I always default to Estrella, but I don't always see why you couldn't do one set of fighting in the morning and one set of fighting in the afternoon. I know that a lot of times it might get hotter in the afternoons, and that's a lot of the reason why it's not done. But that's the only thing that really comes to mind as far as splitting it up. But yeah, it's just a choice of what are you gonna play today, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's rough. It's a rough one. Well, but as far as like you were saying, like you wanted to keep the belt from Craven, you still have that student peer relationship. It doesn't matter if you're not necessarily going to end up as the same peer. You still learn. You're still learning I think that's the toughest part of that path, is letting the student understand that it's
their path.
It's their path, and being a peer, that's what they're teaching. They're more than anything else, they're teaching you how to be a peer, not so much in how to specialize in your heavy fighting or running events or whatever art you're doing. That's really your own passion. It's the teaching you, molding you into a peer is they're really their job.
Did you guys know that Craven is my third knight?
I did not know that.
So I was originally squire to Sir Walrick.
And then he moved away.
And we had the discussion, and we both agreed that while we've remained friends, the relationship doesn't work when you're in different kingdoms. So we agreed to amicably return that. Through conversations with Walrick, he suggested that I approach Sir Tiernan, which I did. And Sir Tiernan, he does his relationship a little bit differently. He asks for a period of time where you're man-at-arms before taking a squire. So I had taken on as man-at-arms, and at the time, this was when we both lived in Tucson, and then he moved. And at that, I was feeling pretty unlucky. He's like, "Wow, I make knights move."
You're like, is it me?
So then approached Craven, and then I moved. But that was years later, and kind of it never came up as far as separating the relationship, just because we still always in touch, and it still works because we're close. Nobody moved out of state, so
yeah.
Overall, still the same culture.
Yeah, very much.
And he can still be your voice in circle.
Yes.
Interesting.
There you go. Fun story.
I think I do remember that you were squire to Walrick. I think I do remember that.
Did it at Southern Crusades on the field when I was still wearing almost full plate for heavy.
Yeah, I really remembered Crispin and giving him a hard time all the time.
Crispin and I were good friends for a good while. He's a pilot in the Air Force now, or Army. Sorry.
Yeah.
Is he still in Hawaii?
I don't know the answer. I just know he was in Hawaii for a long time.
Yeah.
So
Yes, deathly afraid of spiders. He
Yep.
should have never told me. Information he should have never given me.
one time, one of the most fun memories I have with Crispin was at God Awful Grail. One year he won the Grail and I won the Rapier Grail, and it
Nice.
was an event where for whatever reason Walrick wasn't there, and we took a picture with both of us sitting with our respective grails and sent him the picture. Said, "Wow, this while the knights are away, the squires will play."
Nice. That's very good.
All right.
Okay.
I am out of questions. How about you?
I am out of questions. Is there anything you'd like to say to the world out there that might watch this?
Just I'm looking forward to, now that things are kind of getting to the point where we're seeing a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
I am so excited to get back to seeing, our chosen family, right? Even through all these hard times, I've gotten closer with a couple people. You recently had his lordship Ryan and Sebastian on. We've recently gotten real close with them, so I'm looking forward to furthering those relationships in person, and it's just so good that we can see a light,
Yeah.
right? It's coming. Beyond any of that, yeah, this is great. It feels good to put on the funny clothes, right? It feels
Right.
good to put on the funny clothes, which honestly at times are more comfortable and feels like your skin versus
Yeah.
the other stuff, right? This is what we want to do and what we want to play in. We slug through the everyday life doing the things that we have to as adults, right? We get to put on this stuff and be the people that we want to be and have chosen to be. And I can't tell you how much I look forward to seeing you guys in person again, and being able to fulfill the champion duties for Mineko. I'm so looking forward to that. And just so looking forward to seeing everybody and getting back to normal.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that too. I am most comfortable in my armor.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I
This-
usually stay in it all day trying to find fights until there's
This
nobody
felt
else.
great. I do want to show off my tunic for you guys, if you don't mind. This
Oh,
was
yeah.
special. This was special made, and I haven't had a chance to show off any of this. I'm gonna take off my headphones, so I'm not gonna be able to hear you. So just
Okay.
hold on. But this was made
Yeah.
for me
This is when we talk about.
by Sam. I keep spacing on her game name.
Ariana.
You can see it's got the rapier on the shoulders, and it's got the Mineko, the style of the sun that
Oh, that's cool.
Mineko asked for it on it, and it's also got the flowers for the being her champion on it, and just absolutely amazing craftsmanship and work that she did for me.
That's awesome.
She's also along with her kind of group of people that she's done another set of 2 outfits for me that I'm just so excited to be able to show off this stuff that, as I mentioned previously, getting to look the part is part of what I'm working on, and these stuff like this and having good friends like that is so, you can't be understated, right? So
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it.
I mean, I've always thought that was like the first part about actually achieving peerage is you just start acting the way you want to be as a peer. Like I always just pictured what I wanted to be when I was a peer, and I just started to act like kind of asking myself, well, would that guy do this? And just modeled my behavior to what I wanted to be until it just became natural.
Yeah. It's interesting. I know we were trying to wrap up, so please tell me if I'm being long-winded. So as far as the talking about the path again, right? I had a real rough time a while back, a good couple of years ago, and I was shooting myself in the foot left and right as far as the SCA. It was the first time I won champion. I did not fulfill the role well. I was champion my second time for you. And that's when I think I started to kind of hit my stride, is where I wanted to be with stuff. So as far as it took a good long internal look, I think, to refigure out where I was going. So if there was any advice I could tell someone who is in a similar spot, who felt like they were stuck, just be honest with yourself. And that's what it was. It's hard. It was a hard pill to swallow, but being honest with myself, I think, and having some hard conversations really get you back on feeling good about the game. I don't know what made me want to talk about that, but I felt
Well,
like, since we were talking the
yeah.
path, and now the path for me, since I feel like I'm back there, as you just said, acting the part, like what you want to be, right? And a big piece of what I was missing was I wasn't looking the part at all, and a lot of times the
Yeah.
optics matter.
Yep.
For sure.
So even now, I've got 3 outfits, right, that just are going to be awesome, and I'm going to be able to do it, and doing the optics, and then just working on other pieces of the pie. It's like I feel like I'm decent. Obviously I'm always still working on improving as a fighter, but going back to the example that Elsbieta sets for me, everything outside of fighting that she is, that's what I want to be.
Yep.
And getting there, and using that for a path. So
Yeah, well, and the optics are everything. I mean, that's like, especially like I have like this whole ritual before a crown tournament where I go through all of my gear and make sure that it's clean, there's no tape, the helmet's polished, the paint job of the shield looks right. Like, I'm like, if you're gonna be the part, if you plan on trying to win the part, better look the part.
absolutely.
I'm gonna out His Highness. The first crown that he fought here, he was talking all kinds of smack that he was just going to roll in and win, and it obviously didn't go his favor, but I remember pulling him aside and being like, dude, look at your helmet. That's like 3 years of tape smudge all over your helmet. That's how you show up to crown? You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah.
And it's funny because his helmet is always clean now before.
There you go. See, and it's that kind of honest feedback from peers that more people need.
Yeah.
It's I seeing someone who wants to be on that path but is doing something that's shooting themselves in the foot. I wish more people would step up, and somebody in that high position would say, hey, do you aspire to be a peer? Well, might want to think about this thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
It's a matter of having that hard conversation.
Yeah, and like I think everybody gets uncomfortable with, it's just like if you have a guy that doesn't take shots, like it's an uncomfortable conversation, so people just avoid having it, and so they have the conversation, just not with him,
Yeah,
or her,
yeah.
They're having it with everybody else, which is even worse, because then they may hear wind of it, and that's not the way, it should be. I wish there was a way that we could all be more honest with each other, like you said, because it would make things easier, but it takes a special individual that has a comfort level that they could come in and
Right.
and the person, the person that you're giving the information to has to be open for it.
Yeah, they need to be receptive, and that can be hard, even the harder part sometimes. So,
well, I have like, sometimes you can start the conversation with, "Are you ready to listen?" Because it's okay if you're not. We don't have to have the conversation.
Oh yeah, no, and that's something that's a challenge when you're trying to help somebody when you're fighting, right? Because when you're even, if you're just doing pickups and you start telling somebody something, hey, you're doing this thing, and you're just like, wait a second, do you actually care? Am I wasting my breath, or you just want to fight? Sometimes you need to find out, wow, do you want to know these things, or yeah,
Are you just here to have a good day?
yeah. So
That's good stuff, though.
All right.
well, thank you both very much for the invite to speak with you. I really look forward to seeing everybody in person.
Yeah, you are not alone.
Thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate your time.
Yeah, it's fun. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
And we got to learn new stuff about you.
Right. All right. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Have a good weekend.
You too.
All right. Bye, guys.